All right, let's jump right into a deep dive.
Yeah, this is where we take the source material you've shared with us.
Articles, notes, research, whatever it might be.
And we really extract the best, the most important info for you.
Think of it like a fast track, right? So you're genuinely well-informed on a topic.
And you get those interesting little facts, too.
Exactly. We're guiding you through that stack of information.
Helping you understand what really matters for your specific question saves you having to sift through it all.
And for this deep dive, the topic feels, well, perfect for getting outdoors.
Definitely.
We're exploring the details of Motor City Paddle Club kayak rentals,
Specifically at Weber Paddle Park.
all based on the sources you sent over.
And our mission is simple.
Right.
Pull out everything essential for your potential adventure there.
Yeah, just thinking about getting on the water near Detroit sounds pretty appealing.
And your sources here, they provide a really solid, practical overview.
Right.
They lay out everything you'd need to know from the nuts and bolts of renting
Logistics, right?
to giving us a good sense of the environment you'd actually be paddling in.
So, okay, let's unpack this. When you're thinking about Weber Paddle Park,
Yeah.
the first things you'll probably wonder are the basics, like where is it exactly?
Right.
What can you rent? And maybe most importantly, how much is it going to set you back?
Well, the sources pin down the location very precisely.
Okay.
Weber Paddle Park, 49239 Jefferson Avenue in Chesterfield, Michigan.
Chesterfield. Oh,
Which puts it firmly in Macomb County.
got it. Macomb County. And once you're there, ready to hit the water, what are your options? What kind of boats?
They list quite a variety, actually. You've got your standard single kayak,
Yep.
a tandem kayak if you're going with someone.
Makes sense.
They also mention a premium kayak, stand-up paddleboards, canoes,
Oh, canoes too.
and even something called a GoBoat.
A GoBoat?
And the sources make it very clear this is important. Paddles and life jackets are included with all the rentals.
Oh, that's great. So you don't need to worry about bringing that essential gear.
Exactly. Covered.
Okay, variety is good. Now let's talk cost. How much per hour for these?
Okay, the single kayak is $20 per hour.
$20.
Reasonable. The tandem kayak and the stand-up paddleboard, they're both $30 per hour.
Okay, 30 for those.
A canoe is slightly more, $35 an hour.
35.
Then the premium kayak, that's a bit of a jump to $50 an hour.
50. Wow. And the GoBoat.
That's the most expensive option at $55 per hour.
Okay, $50 an hour for that premium kayak. It sounds like it must be something special. Do the sources say anything more about that one?
They do note one specific thing about the premium kayak.
Yeah.
It requires booking 24 hours in advance, and you have to call them.
Ah, okay. So no just showing up for that one.
Right. And while they don't spell out why it's premium,
Mm-hmm.
the higher price in that advance booking suggests it's probably, a higher performance model, maybe
Yeah.
more comfortable.
Something different than the standard ones.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Definitely something to plan for if you want that specific kayak.
So knowing the costs, knowing the boats,
Mm-hmm.
when can you actually go? What are their operating hours?
Okay, weekends are specific. Saturday and Sunday, they're open 10:000 a.m. to 7:0 p.m.
10 to 7.
But the sources highlight this. The last rental goes out at 6:0 p.m.
Ah, so that gives you 1 hour if you're the last one out.
Exactly, to be back by 7:0 p.m. close.
Right. And what about during the week?
Weekdays are different, strictly by appointment only.
So you absolutely have to call ahead then.
Yep, need to call and schedule your rental time.
And I imagine being outdoors, there's a weather caveat.
Oh, absolutely. The sources add that expected but vital note. All operating hours are weather permitting.
Always worth checking the forecast, or maybe even calling if it looks a bit dicey.
For sure. Your sources also walk us through the rental process itself.
Okay, how does that work?
It seems pretty straightforward, designed to get you on the water efficiently.
Sounds good. They recommend making a reservation.
Yes, especially for weekends. Makes sense. Probably gets busy.
And you can do that online or just walk up at the park.
Both, online or in person.
Okay.
And they advise arriving at least 10 minutes before your time slot.
Gives you a buffer.
Right, for check-in, the safety briefing, getting your gear, avoids feeling rushed.
Makes sense. And the check-in itself, what's involved?
Pretty standard stuff, actually. You need a valid ID.
Okay.
You sign a waiver, acknowledging safety guidelines and terms.
Standard liability waiver.
Right. And payment happens then if you haven't paid online. They take cash, credit, debit.
Good options.
Then, once you're checked in, the staff help you select the actual boat you rented.
Right, like the specific single or tandem?
Exactly. And they make sure you have all the gear, the boat, paddle, and that life jacket.
And you mentioned a safety briefing.
Yeah, before you launch. The sources say it's brief but thorough.
What does it cover?
Tips on handling the boat, basically, and really importantly, the designated rental area within the park, where you can and can't go.
Good to know the boundaries.
Definitely. And finally, return is simple. Just bring the boat back by the end of your rental time.
And staff help you get it out.
Yep, they assist with checkout. They noted the last rental goes out at 6:00 p.m. for return by 7:00 p.m.
Okay, so they've really thought about making that whole process smooth.
Seems like it. From arrival to departure.
But the park itself, Weber Paddle Park, that's not just a rental stand, is it? The sources mention other things there.
They do. It's not just about launching a boat. The park also has a fishing pier.
Oh, nice.
The kayak launch area itself, naturally, picnic tables.
Always good for making a day of it.
Yeah, bring some food. There's shoreline access directly to the Salt River.
So you get right down to the water's edge.
Mm-hmm. And a portable toilet. Basic but essential facility.
Good to have on site.
Yeah.
So useful amenities right there.
Complements the paddling for sure.
And what about those moments when you forget sunscreen or get thirsty? Do they sell anything?
That's actually a nice touch mentioned in the sources. Shows they're thinking about common needs.
Yeah. What do they have?
They list specific items: peanuts, chips, beef jerky, some kids' snacks,
Okay, the usual suspects.
cold Coca-Cola products, bottled water, definitely sunscreen,
Essential.
waterproof phone cases, super useful,
Oh yeah, protect the tech.
sunglasses, and towels.
Towels too. Handy if you get splashed.
It seems like they really covered the bases for those small things you might need last minute or forget.
Okay, so we've got a really clear picture of the logistics, the costs, the process, the park itself.
Yeah, the practical side is well covered.
Now let's shift focus. What about the environment you'll be paddling in? The sources talk about the Salt River and Anchor Bay.
Yes, they spend some time detailing that. The Salt River, it's right there in Macomb County, and it flows into Anchor Bay.
Which is part of Lake St. Clair.
Exactly, right there in Chesterfield Township. Its origin, the headwaters, are actually quite a way upstream,
Wow.
about 17.9 miles, almost 18 miles west of Richmond.
Wow, okay. But near the park, near Weber Paddle Park, what's the river like there?
They describe it as being mostly shallow.
Shallow, okay.
The greatest depth they mention is only 6 feet.
6 feet max, so probably much less in many spots.
That's the implication, yeah. Likely quite shallow for paddling.
And the landscape.
Yeah.
Does it change much along the river?
It sounds like it does quite a bit, actually.
So.
Near where it meets Lake St. Clair, the sources say it's lined with marinas. Lots of boats docked.
Okay, more developed there.
But as you move inland towards the park area,
Yeah.
it changes, becomes a large marsh and forested area, much more natural.
Oh, interesting contrast.
And if you were to go even further north, upstream, it apparently runs through light residential areas and eventually farmlands.
So a real variety of scenery depending on which way you paddle or how far you go.
Seems that way.
And what about the river's character, the flow?
The sources use specific words here. They describe it as slow flowing.
Slow flowing. Okay. Good for relaxed paddling.
And they specifically note it's quite swampy in most parts.
Swampy. Interesting. So maybe marshy edges, wetland vegetation.
That's what it suggests. And the watershed, the land area draining into it, is mostly rural but gets more suburban closer to the lake.
Okay. And this description of the environment, shallow, slow, swampy, that ties back to the rentals they offer.
Absolutely. The sources explicitly say their rentals are perfect for exploring these serene waters
Very.
of the Salt River and Anchor Bay.
Yeah.
Given that description,
Yep.
it really sounds like the environment is ideal for, leisurely paddling, exploring little inlets, maybe seeing some wildlife.
Less about, say, whitewater or covering huge distances fast.
Exactly. More about enjoying the calm, natural surroundings.
So bringing all of this together then,
Yeah.
the practical details, the park amenities, the description of the waterway, what's the overall picture these sources paint for you?
For the Motor City Paddle Club experience at Weber Paddle Park, they really provide a clear, actionable guide for you. It sounds like a very accessible, well-organized operation.
Accessible how?
Well, the variety of boats, the clear pricing, the straightforward rental process, you know exactly what you're getting into logistically, no big surprises there.
And the park itself adds value.
Yeah.
Right, picnic tables, fishing pier.
Gives you space to relax, maybe eat lunch beyond just the time on the water. And yeah, those on-site essentials are a thoughtful touch.
Handy for day trippers.
Right. And crucially, that description of the Salt River and Anchor Bay, it confirms this is likely a calm, pretty protected area for paddling.
Good for beginners then, or just a chill day out.
Seems perfect for beginners, yeah. Or anyone looking for a relaxing nature experience. You get that varied scenery too, marinas, marshes.
So it feels like the sources give you all the core information you'd need.
Definitely.
Enough to weigh if this specific spot, this type of activity is right for you, based on your budget, how much effort you want to put in, what kind of environment you like.
It provides a really solid foundation to plan a potential trip. It distills all those details from your material.
Into a clear, concise picture of what to expect.
Exactly.
And that's really the essence of what we do in these deep dives, isn't it?
Getting you that grip on the key details from your sources.
Without you having to wade through absolutely everything yourself.
So as you consider heading out there, maybe here's something to ponder based on what your sources told us.
Okay.
They use those specific words, serene, slow-flowing, and that the river is quite swampy in most parts.
Right.
How might those particular characteristics shape the type of experience you'd have?
Good question.
Does it suggest it's more about, say, quiet exploration, looking closely at the banks, maybe spotting birds or turtles?
Versus paddling hard for a workout.
Or covering a lot of distance like you might on a bigger lake or faster river? It feels like the environment itself really points towards a certain kind of paddling experience.
Something to think about as you map out your next adventure. And that is our deep dive for today.